Thank you. Yeah, so that song was actually my high school graduation class song. And when I was reflecting on that, I was like, what kind of an interesting song to pick, right? It wasn't, something big and celebratory, like, let's go out and make the world, change the world. And I realized that it really was not only a product of the time, but a product of something that we had experienced that year. And so my senior year in high school, our high school experienced a great tragedy. There was a prank gone wrong with some cheerleaders and resulting in a car accident that resulted in the loss of several classmates. And so I think that song reflected to us that desire to return to innocence. Not only was the tragedy something that brought up a deep healing, an opportunity for grief, there was a lot of contention around it. There was lawsuits and, a whole big mess that people, being teenagers especially, but a lot of the adults as well, really jumped into that, what we call the victim, villain, hero drama triangle, trying to find someone to blame. And yes, things were done by a multiple of parties that you could look at and say, well, this caused it and this caused it if this person didn't do this, if this person didn't do this. And I really stood on the side of compassion, especially for the younger girl who's was the one really kind of being bullied, I think in a playful way, but some maybe it was some kind of ritual, I don't know. But she was a junior class cheerleader, and then the seniors kind of went and TP'd her house or rolled her house or whatever. And the father got very angry and chased them out, and they jumped in their car, and it resulted in this traumatic experience. And then so many people went to blame her still because of the actions of her father. And I just had so much compassion for the whole situation. And this song, mostly because of those vocals, has been something that just brings up a lot of feelings for me. And I kind of wasn't expecting it when Kim reached out to hey, I want to give credit to these vocalists. And I was listening to the song again, and then this whole memory kind of flashed back. And I honestly didn't put in my notes. I thought about it, and I was like, no, I'm not going to share that. But then when that song played again, it's just it just came up again. So I just wanted to share that also for an opportunity for healing, because it's healing when we share our stories and we let people into our world a little bit more, yes? And to go back to, even though, as my almost 18-year-old self, I felt like a grown adult, looking back now, we know I was still very much a child. And so today, as we move into this topic of self-forgiveness, I want us all to keep in mind that beautiful inner child, because really they are the ones that are perhaps still hurting, holding on to something that is an opportunity to be released, to see a new perspective, and to invite in that healing power of love and grace in our lives. Yes? Okay. And so it is. It is now time to the reminder to take a collective breath. That'd be really funny if it's my phone, but I don't think it is. Anyway. All right, so we are going to continue on this month's theme on forgiveness. And I want to start again by laying the foundation. In case anyone hasn't heard the previous weeks leading up to this, let's review, right? So when we're talking about forgiveness, let's start with first what it's not. Forgiveness is not saying that what happened was okay. It's not forgetting. It's not excusing. And it's definitely not about the other person deserving it. Nor is forgiveness something that we need to get from something outside of us, like the kind of old school religious view of a God out there that we must beg or ask for forgiveness from in order to somehow be whole again, right? What forgiveness is, it's choosing to stop carrying the weight and the burden and the pain of the past into the now moment, which then creates the next moment. Forgiveness is reclaiming our power. It's about choosing peace and choosing to set down those burdens and those heavy stones, right? We talked the first week about that backpack and all those little grievances. They may feel like little small things that you're holding on to, but as you begin to carry them, imagine hiking up that mountain. It gets much harder with that bag full of grievances and burdens. So we're using this book, Forgive for Good, by Dr. Luskin, as our book of the month. And I love how he calls forgiveness a trainable skill, something we can learn and practice and strengthen, which is partially why I've chosen to give a workshop this afternoon on forgiveness, so that we can practice together and learn some of those skills, yes? Just like building a muscle at the gym, we must build our forgiveness capacity with intention. And then spiritually speaking, forgiveness is the soul's way of saying, I remember who I am. I know who I am. I know the truth of who I am. I am not what has happened to me. I am what I choose to become now. Yes? It is for giving yourself the opportunity to be free and experience peace, right? Forgiveness. For giving yourself that gift. So today we're going to gently turn that mirror of forgiveness towards ourselves and focus on something that often gets left out of this conversation, which is self-forgiveness. Many people find it harder to forgive themselves than others. We carry around guilt for what we did or didn't do, what we should or shouldn't have said. We internalize shame for mistakes we made when we were under stress or at our limit, as we say, blown our, this thing, any therapy people? And we internalize that shame for things we may have missaid or misspoken, our missteps. Anyone relate? Yeah. And I want to make it clear, self-forgiveness is not about denying responsibility. It's about accepting responsibility with love, not shame. It's about seeing our past actions through the lens of compassion and giving ourselves that same grace that we would give a beloved friend or a young child. Imagine a young child, and if you don't have one in your life, think of some of these precious ones we have in the other room. If they come up and then they fumble and they spill their chocolate cake all over your white pants, are you going to hold on to that forever and be like, that is a bad kid? Or are you willing to, of course, feel your feelings, have a moment, invite them into some responsibility of helping you clean it up, but then you look into their beautiful eyes, and it's so easy to let it go and forgive, yes? So how about we start to turn that around and look at our inner child, the innocence, the return to innocence, knowing and remembering our wholeness, our inherent worth and beauty. We all make mistakes. We are human beings. And being in this world, there are many opportunities. Because if you are in any kind of relationship, which I know you are because you're in this room, so you're in relationship with a spiritual community, you're going to have an opportunity to practice forgiveness of self and others. So what would it be like to dive into that deep place of love and healing and grace and be willing to see yourself as God, Spirit, life, sees and knows you? Isn't that just such a beautiful idea? Really take that in. Imagine how you can see yourself even in the midst of perhaps a moment of frustration or road rage or whatever, and be willing to let go and love yourself in the midst of that moment. So why is it so hard to forgive ourselves? Any ideas? You can talk back here, it's okay. Why do you think it's hard to let ourselves off the hook? Why is it hard to forgive ourselves? Conditioning. Pride. Yeah, thinking that we're supposed to be good and perfect, which usually comes from conditioning of the outside world, telling us you're supposed to be good and perfect, and that there is this ideal thing called good and perfect, and that everyone else may make mistakes, but I'm supposed to somehow be better than that, right? I should have known better. Oh, I can't believe I did that again and again. Because we live with ourselves, we see and know ourselves always, it's a little bit easier to hold those things on us, and especially repeated things. But the beauty is those repeated patterns, those things that we often beat ourselves up for over and over, those are the exact places and spaces that if we allow more grace and space into our lives, it is the exact place that we can experience a huge shift and transformation and bring in and invite in that divine love and experience something new and come out even stronger on the other side, more loving, more compassionate with ourselves, and be that walking example for others. So we are so quick to demand perfection from ourselves, yes? Yet we wouldn't expect others to be so perfect. And if we believe in oneness, if we affirm that we are a divine expression of the one life, of spirit, of the universe, then that must include our whole journey, all of us, embracing our humanness, our divinity, our moments of love and joy, and our messy missteps. So self-forgiveness then isn't indulgence. It's alignment with our truth. And it's an act of spiritual maturity to say that even here in this moment, I am lovable. Even now, I am whole. Even in this moment of regret or shame or guilt, I am worthy of compassion. In his book, he gives several examples and stories of people. Terry, who blamed herself for the financial missteps after her husband's death. Donna, who was riddled with guilt over an affair, even though her marriage had been long emotionally dead. Erica, who feared she'd end up just like her mother unless she changed, but couldn't seem to forgive herself or her mother long enough to change at all. And what this book tells us through these people's stories is that the guilt didn't create the shift. Only compassion does. Only being willing to share the story, to feel all our feelings about it, and then see it through another perspective, are we able to transform it. Change only becomes possible when we stop punishing ourselves and start loving and supporting ourselves. So Dr. Lesson talks about reframing the story from a positive intention. So again, this isn't to excuse what happened, but to reflect on what we've learned and how we've grown. and what values we want to live from now. The amazing thing about the Science of Mind teaching that Dr. Ernest Holmes brought into the world is this idea that we can begin again. In each moment, we are at choice, we can make a new choice, and we can begin again, creating a new trajectory for our lives. Each moment lives the aliveness of the eternal now moment. And for those of you who may start to follow some of this quantum physics and how quantum physics and spirituality overlap, you begin to see that through acts of compassion and forgiveness in the now moment, there's a ripple effect, not just in the future, but in what we may call the past, because really time space is this kind of circular event like this. So how awesome is it we have the opportunity to begin again and to create a ripple effect like this? So he writes, the goal of forgiveness is to feel peaceful. So isn't that what we're really all after? Not perfection, not paybacks or retribution or seeing people get what they deserve. That may have a temporary moment of, yeah, but it doesn't create lasting peace. So as metaphysicians, we know that we are not our past. We are not our mistakes today. We are spiritual beings and expand in and as the love that we are. When we forgive ourselves, we reclaim that identity and we say, I am more than what I did. I am more than who hurt me. I am more than the roles I've played or the stories I told. I invite you, if you're willing, to speak that truth into the room. Repeat after me. I am more than what I did. I am more than who hurt me. I am more than the stories I've been told. I am whole. I am worthy. Yes. When we hold ourselves hostage to the past, we are not really living. We are carrying around that invisible weight of the game. I didn't say that. Shame and guilt. Sometimes those words go together and make a new word. The shame and blame, the guilt, the regret, and all that other shit. Those are the emotional backpacks that we often carry with us. So, are you willing to set it down? Yes. Are you willing to set it down? Yeah. Yes. For heaven's sakes, y'all. Are you willing to set it down? Yes. Good. And just like that, we can choose. All it takes is a little bit of willingness, a willingness to choose, to let go of our judgments, to free ourselves from the past. And here's the thing, to let others off the hook as well, and to let go of the judgments we have about others. For truly, if we are one, we cannot hold and harbor a resentment and a judgment against someone else and think that it is not still affecting us in some way, because it's still in our energetic space. When we hold on to resentments and unforgiveness, it blinds us to the good and the energy that wants to express through us. It disrupts our connection to that divine flow. Not that we're ever separate, but it just kind of gunks up the energy of life expressing through us if we're holding on to all that stuff. So let's be clear. Self-forgiveness is not pretending that something didn't happen or just kind of locking it away. It's not spiritually bypassing. It's not just slapping some affirmations on top of a wound that hasn't been acknowledged. It is feeling what there is to feel, the anger, the hurt, etc. Allowing yourself in a safe container with intention to feel and express those feelings all the way through to completion. And this doesn't take long. It can be like a 2-minute practice. But often we don't let ourselves go there, but in little increments of time over years. But imagine, like today you have the opportunity to stick around and spend some time to really feel and express and choose to let it go. Self-forgiveness is taking accountability with love, not shame. Realizing that we can be accountable for an action or behavior or something we did without it meaning something about us, right? Like we can acknowledge and say sorry that our actions had an impact on someone's lives that we weren't aware of, even if it wasn't our intention. We can acknowledge that and know that we are still worthy and loved. And self-forgiveness is choosing again from this now moment with the awareness that you have now. And releasing the need to try to punish yourself for not being good enough or perfect, but remembering that you are worthy, just as you are. It's choosing freedom over mental fixation or rumination. It's choosing peace over retribution or punishment. And it's choosing growth over guilt. Yes? Allowing the space and grace to love ourselves and to forgive those who have made us believe that we are anything less than beautiful and whole and perfect, divine emanation of spirit. Forgiving ourselves for having believed those stories and taken in and made the meaning of what others or the world has said about us. So as long as we have a belief in our inadequacy or insufficiency for some reason, dramas, victim, villain, hero, opportunities will keep appearing in our lives to confirm those beliefs. And we can tell that story over and over and over. Yet we must return to innocence if we want to experience freedom and peace. But it's up to you. Return to the unceasing love and forgiveness, because love is indeed always the answer, yes? As the amazing poet and writer Mark Nepo from Kalamazoo, Michigan, shout out, wrote in one of his amazing books, the pain was necessary to know the truth, but we don't have to keep the pain alive to keep the truth alive. I'm going to say that again. The pain was necessary to know the truth, or remember the truth of who we are, but we don't have to keep the pain alive to keep the truth alive. That says it. All right, so I invite you this week to practice turning within, reflecting on any grievance you may be holding or harboring against yourself, any mistake, big or small. There is no big or small in the mind of God. It just is, and it has an impact on us. So be willing to reflect on that. Maybe do some journaling, and then offer the love and grace to yourself just as you would a beautiful child who accidentally spilled their chocolate on your white pants. I have to say that did happen to me when Cadence was a toddler on Sunday morning. Anyway. So this kind of inner work is the work that changes lives. Not because we then become someone else, but because we remember who we truly are, yes? The world doesn't need more perfect people. The world needs more free people. And self-forgiveness is how we free ourselves and begin again and again and again. So this week, treat your mistakes with compassion. Practice self-love and forgiveness, not as a one-time thing, but as a way of being and moving through the world. If you notice yourself making a small mistake and that voice like, you're so stupid, take a breath. I am the love and light of the divine. Even in this moment, I choose to love myself. And to remember the truth of who you truly are. Yes? Yes. All right, come on up, Belle. Let's take this into prayer. Oh, So I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable, or find a nice soft gaze in the room. And begin to bring your awareness and attention into that inner field, that space within you that is whole, perfect, and complete. That place that has never been hurt, harmed, or hindered. As I speak this word in the first person and invite you to accept it as the truth for yourself. I know and recognize that there is one life, one presence. This life, this energy, this presence is peace. It is creativity. It is freedom. It is wholeness. This one life is the very essence and nature of all life. So therefore, I know that I am whole, perfect, and complete. Peace is who I am. Wholeness is my divine nature. Freedom is my birthright. And it is from this place of oneness that I speak this word now, knowing that I get to walk in this world free to be who I am, to express the love and the power and the beauty and the creativity of the divine moving in, as, and through me in a way that it only can as me. I choose to live my life to the fullest, letting go of any burdens or mistakes or false beliefs that I may have chosen to believe for a moment sometime in the past, and stepping into the power of this now moment, declaring and claiming the love and grace and power of forgiveness. Choosing right here, right now, to remember who I am and to allow that love to wash over me and to inform each and every step I take, every word I speak, every thought I think is infused with the wholeness and the peace and the love of God. And I choose in this moment to know this for myself, for my inner child. And I choose in this moment to give this love and this grace to all those I encounter, seeing and knowing the beloved and each and every being on this planet. So I take a deep breath, moving into that field of acceptance, of integration, allowing these words to do their good and perfect work. As I say yes, and I say thank you. So grateful for the fulfillment of this prayer. So grateful for a healing that is happening now. As I release this word into the action of the law that always says, yes, my beloved, it is done, and it is so. And I let it be so. And so it is.